Hello! Can y'all hear me? What few you are. Boom a chick. I don't expect a big crowd today. We got a lot of last minute shoppers out there. But we are going to do a little bit of talking some stocks. Good deal. Well, hello. How are we doing today? We're going to talk about a few tickers for the Christmas special coming up next week. We got Friday off. That we do know. What an exciting day it was last Friday, that was for sure. Got in a couple good trades at the bottom, and then we had that big bounce into close. That was nice to see. The SPY and Tesla, and there was a lot of them that just dipped hard all day and then they bounced right back up. So we're going to look at a few of them. And if you all have any tickers that you want to point out to me, I'm willing to look at them too. And I want to talk about a few that we had on watch, and we'll get right to it. My name's James Howard, Washboard Jim. I've been at this for a little while. I respect all traders out there. Probably just a few that I don't. But I learn from everybody, and I learn from if you're winners, beginners, losers. I always like to be asked questions. I'm not the sharpest tool in the shed, but I do try to learn and pick up more every day that I can pick up. And I learned a valuable, well, I didn't learn a lesson, but I kind of, something stuck in me last Friday, and that was quad witching. I'm a day trader and a scalper and a swing trader. And I just started trading options last year, and I'm not doing too bad in that. I really started to crystallize in the last 4 months. It finally kicked in. I have different philosophies in trading, as everybody should. Everybody should have their own little strategy. Mine is the extended trendline method, and I have many tools in my arsenal that can support that idea. I use the TTM squeeze. Use the RSI, I use about everything that fits my trendline pattern. That's the extended trendline pattern, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So I would say if you're very advanced and you think you know it all, this might not be for you. If you want to learn how to find supports and maybe how to find resistances, how to catch knives, how to recognize chart patterns, how to recognize stocks that move, this might be for you. I've had many people come to me and say that these chart lessons that I've been given has been a major improvement on their trading. I know a lot of traders that just go into trades blindly. They just go off someone's alert, and they don't know their own strategy. I have a 5-step strategy, and if a lot of them criteria are hit, I take the trade. I like to hit 4 or 5. And if 4 or 5 are hit, if 3 hit, I'm kind of iffy about it. I know it might be a trade that I might have to play the pullback if it does drop. But if I hit the 4 or 5 on my list, I'm willing to get into the trade. And I'm a chartist. I'm a technical trader. Fundamentals, I follow the money. I follow the tape. I follow momentum plays. So the fundamentals just don't mean that much to me, but it's good to know. And I always try to be in the now. My 5 steps to get into a good trade is, number 1, being patient. Don't jump in on the first fling. Think about it twice. I have an old saying that I learned back when I was a picture framer for 18 years. It's called measure twice, cut once. So, I like people to measure things twice before they get into a trade. I've catch myself, every once in a while, I had my option thing set up for I just wanted to play the monthly. And so I jumped into the SPY, and here I jumped into it a month out. And I'm going, oh, wow, what did I do here, because I like to scalp the SPY. So I held that trade, and I come back after I see my doctor's appointment yesterday, and I was in the trade, and it was up like $80-some. Then I had another SPY call that I made when I was at the doctor's office, and I got in at the bottom. So I had December 24th and also the expired date in January. I think it's around the 15th. So I was happy to see them trades come up and the bounce was just notorious. I mean, it was a good sell-off, and you don't see them kind of sell-offs every day. I mean, everything was just dipping, and I'm accustomed to the quarter and how the quad works, but I'm not really. I think the market is irrational right now. It's definitely irrational, but we're also going through a cycle where the economy is going to change. It's going to be a different kind of economy. I'm going to call it the gig economy. It's GIG. A lot of people are going to be working from home. If you have wonderful technical skills and computer skills, you won't have a problem finding a job at all. And that's the sector I would be looking into if I was wanting to stay at home, pick up my own little business. I wish I was a little bit smarter with computers. I'm an old fart, and they came, I think I bought my first one in 1991, and I've had probably 5 or 6 of them since. I know I've had 5, and I'm ready to buy me another laptop, but that's besides the point. I think you need to be caught up. You need to have a good workstation. That's my number 2. Well, actually, it's just something that you need. It's not the number 2, but number 1 is being patient. Number 2 is being in the now, knowing what's going on in the market, knowing what sectors are trending, know if it's going to be a red day. You don't want to try to fight the trend. I'm a bottom feeder. I like to look, when we have bad days like Friday, I like to recognize bottoms. It was very hard to do that until about, a half hour before the market closed, and then we had that big bounce. People were coming in and buying the market because they knew, this quad witching can work either way. It could be a good, it could be bad. Friday was bad. But I was able to get in on the dips, and I'm a stock trader that trades one stock at a time, maybe 2. I got in Amazon the Thursday, bought it, and then right it open, I got in there and I sold it. I got out of it because, I'm going to show you the chart on Amazon right now. Number 3, after being patient and being in the now, is learning the technical part of your charts. You got to be able to read charts. Some people don't read charts. They just go off alert and momentum, and that's it. They'll take. Some people say you don't need to trade charts. You just follow the leader. Well, I'm not that kind of trader. I got to know when I'm going to get in. I want to know when I'm going to get out of a trade. So you need to know the technical part as much as learning the fundamentals. If you're in a good fundamental stock, your chance of maybe swinging it longer is better. We're hot on a lot of the big money trade stocks like Apple and with Tesla, and then we got the ones that break out like this FEYE did. And I've got it charted up here. I've got it on the window right now, and that's the one I want to talk about next. So we have patience, being in the now, learning charts, learning patterns, learning how to find resistances and how to find supports, looking for places of consolidation. You don't have to know it all, but you need to have some kind of strategy. And I think that I make that clear every time I do one of these lessons. My strategy is the extended trend line. I like to buy at support and sell at resistance. It doesn't mean I have to get out of the trade that day. It could be 3 or 4 days later. I very seldom hold a trade very long. If I'm not feeling good about the trade, I'll get out and put my money somewhere else where it's put to better use. And that's, sometimes I get stubborn and I get complacent and I want to stick in the trade. I think it's good not to fall in love with a stock, but I am in love with Tesla. Tesla's just been a great trade for years, and I've only screwed up on it twice. And the last time I screwed up, it was a small one, and I think if I'd have held it the next day, I would have got the bounce that I would have got yesterday. So, timing's not always perfect, but you want to try to be the best that you can. And if you allow patience to enter the trade, your timing will improve a lot. And always measure twice and cut once. Number 4 is having the right setup. Make sure that you have the right setup. Make sure that if you just trade on a phone, I don't know. Some people do it. Some people have to work. Some people will take, time out during work and make a trade and sell it and set their resistance. You can trade the market any way you want. It's what I like about Wall Street. I mean, I can get in and out of here in the first hour and a half and be done for the day and out of here. But I choose not to do that. I choose to sit here and try to learn and try to educate people and becoming a better trader. So, and number 5, I think being around a good surrounding, having a good mental attitude, being motivated, excited. I like to have fun when I trade. I don't like to be a sour grape and get pissed on a lot. I like to have fun. And my whole life is all about having fun. If you're not having fun with what you're doing, I wouldn't be doing it. But take it in a serious fashion. I'm very serious in what I do, but I like to lighten it up a little bit and kind of feel free. So that's number 5. I think the mood, healthiness, being healthy, having a positive attitude, and being around traders that are very motivated. And we have that here in I Love Stocks. We have some great traders in here. I can name a few, and I can name quite a few. And I don't look down at anybody that wants to learn or that wants to teach. We've got traders like Miss Vegas. She's a 52-week breakout trader. She likes to play momentum. She likes to play the money flow. She watches the money. I see the money in the tape. I don't personally have to know who's buying this or buying that because I see it going in the tape. I'm a momentum trader. I trade on technicals. And it's good to know that where the money's going, but sometimes that could be going in, sometimes it could be going out. But if I'm watching the tape and I'm seeing green and less red, or I'm hitting an extended trend line that I know is a hard resistance, I want to get out of the trade and buy the dip. And that's how I do it. I think people that know how to chart and find them supports and them pivot points can understand where I'm coming from. Now, I don't criticize anybody that trades a different style. And I do appreciate people that post alerts. We've got great traders in our room, and Basscat, we've got Wall Street, we've got Doobie, we've got Longhorn, we've got a bunch of good traders in the room. We've got a bunch of ladies in the room that know what they're doing. They're great to follow. Everybody posts their little alerts, and we kind of play off them alerts. I'm looking for support in all these alerts, and then I'm going to jump in the trade. I don't see a reason why you should just jump right into a trade unless you know where you want to get in or maybe where you want to get out. So that's a big difference. And also this will be recorded and you can go back and watch it. Now I've had some people request on how do you find these support levels? What is the extended trendline method? To me, I define the extended trendline method. Let me see if I can pull one up here. I'll put Tesla in here for right now. Let's see if I have it charted up. I have it charted up pretty good. So the extended trendline method, and everybody plays on trend lines, but you want to try to get as close as you can. And a lot of times when I'm looking for, like I look at the 20-day, especially when I have it charted up, I try to look for a pivot point area. And the pivot point area is a place where it kind of makes up its mind. It makes up its mind if it wants to go up or if it wants to go down. And that pivot point is a very important line to put in any chart if you're looking for it. Now, people use a lot of other indicators. You see, I don't have hardly any indicators on here but my moving averages. I don't need someone telling me when to get in and when to get out of a trade because I do it off of my supports and my pivot points and my resistance levels. And it's not real hard to figure out, but it is the way I trade. And I've had people tell me, wow, you know, how do you find those areas? Well, you find them in places of consolidation. You find them in places where they've had tops, and you find places where they pull back. And I've charted this pivot point area on this Tesla, and I've been calling this Tesla out down here at 603 if anybody's been paying any attention. That's a real strong place. That's called a pivot point. That's a pivot point in between the channel. You can see we couldn't break that resistance right here. And finally we had us a little ascending triangle. I look for chart patterns. I look for chart patterns to try to find these pivot point areas. I look for pullbacks. For example, right in here, we pulled back right there. So if I'm doing a 20-day chart, or if I was even right here, I would go back probably 20 days from there and see the same kind of resistance level. Maybe this 603 at one time was a hard resistance, but now we've more or less become a support level. At one time, we were a hard resistance on the 20-day chart. Then we broke out of that pattern. And, you know, I always say just be patient in a trade. It'll come back to that area. Some people will hold it for 3 or 4 years and wait for it to finally break. I'm not that kind of trader. I like to see them pull back and get in at support and keep playing the trade until it finally breaks out to resistance level to new highs. We all trade different. That's something we got to understand. So we did break out of that pivot point area, and that was here at 603.93. Now I found it because of all these tops. And then it continued on down. And there were a couple of people that were trading in the room with me on Tesla. They like to follow me because I'm pretty good at finding the support levels. And I use this 200 EMA on a 20-day. Now this is a 20-day, 1-hour chart. I look at 3 charts basically when I'm drawing these trend lines. I pull up the 1-year daily, and I go on from there. Now I've recharted this ever since every time we've gone up, we found a little channel. We got a pennant flag right here. That's called a pennant flag. And I'll point that out. So you need to know your patterns. I think patterns are really let you know before other traders get in and other traders get out. I know traders don't even look at patterns. You know, they just look at the company and the fundamentals and say, well, this thing's low. I'm going to get in the trade and hold on to it for a week, month, or whatever. But I've got to get in at support. This here is called a pennant flag. It finally did break out of that pennant flag and then bounced above that trend line. I'm using the same trend lines. You know, this thing could have pulled back and hit that trend line again, but Tesla, ever since it announced that it was in the S&P, has took off like a rocket. And we're not done here. This thing's going to go up a lot higher, and I guarantee it. I've got a target price of $750. I think we'll hit it and consolidate, and that's just right up here. I think it'll pull back and try to find support. So how do we... And then my next chart that I use, it's called the 20-day, 1-hour chart. Now I go back to this once I'm in the trade or I'm looking at a trade, I get a little bit more accurate and it's easier to see kind of reading. And that's how I set it up. I go for the 1 hour and then I try to look for resistance levels. I try to find places that, so now I'm going to raise the bar on Tesla today. I'm not going to be looking at this 603 anymore. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rechart this up. And we're going to start real fresh, and I'm going to show you how I would chart Tesla alone. And this is going to be kind of the lesson for today on how I use the extended trend lines. So we're going to go ahead and erase it. Bam. And share this video. Hit that like button if you like it. Share it with some friends that are new and beginner to traders. And this will be very helpful to them. I don't think this video is for experienced traders or people that think they know it all. I would go ahead and shut this thing off and move on somewhere else. But I'm going to be looking for like a resistance level and a support level up here in this channel. And how I do that is I'm going to magnify it up a little bit. I'm on the yearly daily. We hit an all-time high up here after the split of 695. So I want to put that in there here in a second. Now, I'm using the bodies of the candles. I don't use the wicks. The wicks are a gift. The wicks tell you if the trade's going to be bullish or bearish. So I'm kind of, the wicks tell you if the sellers are coming in or the buyers are coming in. The body of the candle is where it is consolidated and created, like I would say, a consolidated place. So I use the bodies of the candle. Now we're going to put a support level, and I know in my heart, right down here, where we had this little 501 and we had the breakout and it's run all the way up and had 570. So we're going to find a new support level, and it's going to be right in here. This is going to be like a pivot point in this channel where we just couldn't break out of it and it kept pulling back to that level right there. I'm using the bodies of the candle. So this is going to be like my low support. I'm back here at 603. That's going to be my low support. So I need to put that back in there, just in case we had something that happened like Friday. We'll put that right in here at, and I want to I'm going to line them up with these bodies of these candles. And every time a wick touches it, it just kind of gives me confirmation that that is a good little spot. Then I'm going to raise it up to the next level. And I'm going to look for places where I see the most on the body of the candles. And I'm going right here at 617. Then I'm going to go up one more little bar right up in here, right around the 626. Right now it's not telling me hardly anything. I'll show you what happens when I get to the 20-day. Then we got this body right here, and we got this body matching up right here. Then we got this little body right down here. So I'm going to try to equilibrium out, and I'm going to hit this body right in here because it matches up real well to that one. And then we have this little fat hammer right here. And then I'm going to bring it up one more bar. See this little place right here? It's not quite where I want it to be, so I'm going to remove that drawing. And I'm going to magnify it up just a little bit so I can get a better picture of it. Bam! Right there. That's where we'll put it. Then I'm going to put another one right here. Now I'm more or less done. I'm just using the bodies of the candle. I'm not using the wick. You know, we hit 695. So I think I'm done with the year chart here on charting it up just by looking at the bodies of the candle and trying to find places that consolidate and meet each other if it's either coming down or going up. Then we're going to go ahead and change this to the 20-day. 20-day 1 hour. Now see, I'm not using any under indicator. I'm not using the Bollinger Bands. I'm not using, because I know how strong my support levels are. And I know they're more accurate than any kind of indicator that you can get. And if you've watched me trade, you'd understand that. And then we're going to put, see how the 20-day, how everything kind of lines up pretty well? We have this right in here. We have this right in here. Now we have a little spot right in here. I want to go ahead and chalk that in there because I don't want to leave that out. That could be a solid support level when it pulls back. We're pretty much right in there. Then I'm going to put one more right up in here where we had the resistance level. See, on the 1 hour chart, we never could break that resistance. That's going to be 676.69. And that's about where we closed at, 695. So we're going to go ahead and bring this down to the 1 minute. Now, a lot of people don't use the 1 minute, but I like getting into trades before everybody else does. This allows me to get into trades before other people do. You know, some people say it's bearish down there. Well, I'm looking for the reversal. I'm looking for the candlestick patterns. I've already got my extended trend lines on here, but I want to see if there's anything that I might have missed in here, and there is. Right here at opening, we had a resistance level right here. So I want to chalk that in. That's the next resistance I want to break. Now, also you can see on the daily 1 minute, I use this 200 moving average, EMA. Now, the different moving averages that I use on the chart, and that could be different from anybody else. I don't see too many people that trade off the 200 EMA on the daily 1 minute, but it's a great indicator for breakout stocks. As you can see, it broke out pretty hard up here, and then it pulled right back to that 200, and it snuggled up against that 200 the rest of the day. That's telling me that the stock's still bullish in my mind. That's the 200 EMA. So we have the 200, the 100, the 34, and the 9. Got that? So we're after I get done with Tesla, we're going to chart up stocks that are your favorite, and then I'm going to pick out a few that I've been watching last week. And we're going to show you how to find these support levels. Now, you want to catch a knife, this is a great place to do it. Because I'm a good knife catcher. I don't like to say I'm the best. I don't like to say I'm a know-it-all. I like to stay, I don't want to be complacent, because sometimes it can get to your head and you miss things. So I always want to double check, and that's why I say measure twice, cut once. So we've got a little support level right here, a little resistance level right there. You see how we've touched back a few times? And then we had this little breakout. I can't miss that out, and I can't miss this out, because I want to put this in here too, because we had this top, and then we had this little bottom right here, and then we had this thing right in here. So I'm going to kind of equal it out. Now, if I'm looking at this stock and I'm saying just here, and I want to pull up, let me see if I missed any more things. You know, I think that we should put a line right here. I'm looking for places where we've pulled up and we've pulled back. Now we've got a little double top right in here. And I like it because it's kind of an equilibrium in this little channel. Now this is another pennant flag right in here. This is on the minute. You got to look for chart patterns. I say it's very essential to look for chart patterns when you want to try to find support levels. Ascending triangles, and let me show you what them things look like here. I'll show you a few. I'll show you a few patterns that are bullish on a trade. This here is called the ascending triangle. They've got inverse ascending triangles. That's the ones that come up from the bottom after they move down, and then they create an inverse pattern, and then they reverse. Some of them come from the bottom, create a consolidated area. Now these are very good channels to know. This one here especially, it'll help you trading out tremendously if you can recognize them and you're wanting to catch a knife or a pullback or find support. I never say run into a trade. I say figure out where you want to get in, when you want to get out. Now what you have here is an ascending triangle. You have a resistance level that needs to break. And as we start to squeeze, you notice that the sellers are leaving and the buyers are coming in and bringing it back up there. You know, you have a few sellers and it raises the bar up. You have less sellers, and then you finally have the breakout. I like to look at maybe 1, 2, and then maybe the third time, the fourth time as it goes up. That's, to me, is one of the best candles you could have. And I also like to look at the steepness of the bar. That means a lot of people are more bullish if it's a little steeper. But by the time it ends up and it squeezes, and you'll hear me talk about a squeeze, that's getting ready to tell you that this thing's getting ready to break. And bam, she finally broke out. Now I guarantee, not guarantee it, but 9 out of 10 times after you have a breakout like this, you'll have a pullback. And a lot of times I'll pull back to that top horizontal line on that ascending triangle. That's things you want to get. And we got some diversion right here. We got the volume going down. That means the sellers are leaving. And you can see it going up. So that is another indicator that the volume is starting to tighten up too. And then all of a sudden you get this big volume spike. It breaks out of resistance, and there you are. So that's just one of many patterns that you can work with. You know, I talk about the triple bottoms. Here is a descending pattern. This is where you got to start thinking about, do I want to stay in the trade? It's descending. Descending means it's bearish. You have the sellers, the buyers are leaving the arena, and the sellers are leaving the arena. They're selling to the buyers are selling to the sellers, and it's keeping this bottom neckline here, and then it finally dips on down. But you can tell that it's losing momentum as the top bar goes down, and it's coming from a top. Now this could be just the opposite. This could be coming up from the bottom, and this would be called an inverse descending triangle. That means it's raising up, and then you have some decisiveness, and then finally that thing will shoot up like this. And then we have what you call, one of my favorite charts is called the pennant flag. These are things that I look for when I'm in a trade. We're coming up from the bottom and we're consolidating. The buyers, this is about a 60-40 chance of maybe a breakout to the upside. This is called a pennant flag, and I talk about these a lot in the room. You got the flagpole, and then you consolidate, and then you finally have the breakout. The uptrend continues because we were right here. That's what I mean. It continues. They find a place of consolidation, and then we squeeze and we move on up. Now you could have just the opposite. You could have one coming down, creating a pennant flag. That's called an inverse. A lot of times when it's coming from the top, let me see if I have one in here. This is called a downtrend. This is an inverse pennant flag, or a symmetrical flag. It's coming from the top. It's starting to squeeze. Let me see here. It's starting to squeeze, and then the downtrend resumes. So these are patterns that you want to look at. It depends a lot of time where they're coming from. And it also depends, like being in the now. See, that's when rule number 4 comes in. Being in the now. Knowing what the market is doing. If you're in a great stock, like, for example, what happened Friday. And let's do it. Let's take a little look here. What happened Friday on the daily. Let's look at the 5-minute here. We had a nice little breakout. And then it decided to go ahead and come on down. Found an equilibrium pivot point right here from these other resistance levels, and then just pulled on down again. But this is a stock that you like. This is a stock that has very high momentum and very high trading volume. And I'm always looking at the tape over here at the side, and I'm watching the level 2 action too. That's, an indicator to me if the buyers and sellers are coming in, if I want to be in a day trade or if I want to scalp it. And I'm real good at scalping. I look for those patterns and I get out. If I'm up $200 or $300, I'm out of the trade. And I don't take very long, half hour at the most. To me, that's a little too long when I'm scalping. But I can do that 5 or 6 times a day on the same stock and make 3 times as much as someone that would decide to go ahead and hold the stock and expect it to run on up. I'm taking the trade, going in and out of it, in and out of it, in and out of it. By that time, I've tripled my income from the person that got in it and stayed and just wishful thinking that it'll go up. So I'm taking them exit points, and I'm getting back in the stock. And I've got 3 different accounts that I can trade out of. That's another thing that I want to talk about, emphasize. It's not good to just trade out of one account. We hear a lot of times this site's down or that site's down. Well, I can always move to use stock trade and scalp if I'm having a slow day with Ameritrade or Tastyworks. If it's having a bad day, I can always blow off the option, but Tastyworks is a great platform for me to use. when it comes to options. And I trade every platform differently. I scalp U-stock trades. That's all I do. $1 in and $1 out. That's all it costs. I'm in and out, in and out, in and out. I can do that all day long. And then I've got my Ameritrade account. That's my big account. That's where I can scout and I can swing trade out of it. And then I've got my options account, and that's Tastyworks. That's where I just trade options. That's all I use that platform for. So it's good to have them platforms. So we're looking for chart patterns, and then we're going to be looking for candlestick patterns. Let me see. There's a couple other patterns I just want to run by you, and they're called a bullish bearish pattern. And I've talked about these a lot in the room. Not a lot. Probably I should talk about it a little bit more. But you have places of consolidation. You're coming up from an uptrend. You're going up from an uptrend. Then you're going to have a little bit of sell-off right here. Now, this is called a bullish flag. And it's just a consolidation, then it finally breaks out to the upside. Well, just the opposite happens with a bearish flag. You have people that are stuck up here in the trade, so it knives, and then they're trying to cost average down and make that money back that they were up here. But knowing the pattern, and if you recognize these patterns, you'll know that this ain't going to last very long. A lot of times they move sideways. They just go to the right. To me, that's a bullish flag. It could last 10, it could last 5, it could last 3 days, it could last 20 days. And I'll show you an example. PayPal. Miss Vegas called out PayPal. She said it needs to break this $20 area, and 120 or whatever it was. And it didn't do it for a couple weeks. But, as long as it didn't spoil that pattern, and I'm going to show you that right now because I'm talking about it. PayPal. Getting a lot of people messaging me, is it going to dip or is it going to go up? And I was telling them, I said, well, we're in a diagonal horizontal pattern on a 20-day. And let's look at this 20-day pattern. And I've charted it up for them. And it says, as long as we hold this support level, history repeats itself. There's a lot of people that were in this trade and it didn't move, and it knifed a couple of times, and they were kind of concerned. So I'm going back in history, and I'm looking for places of consolidation where it just failed. And I draw those lines, and that's where I drew the line on this one right here. And we pulled back and hit that. We did dip a little bit, but she bounced right back up. And this took what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks for it to finally break out of that channel. Now I have a resistance channel right here at the 219 level. I said we needed to break the 219 for it to be bullish. My target wasn't any much higher. It had to break this 219. And we repeated that many times. 219, 219, 219. And then finally we broke out of that 219. Well, look what happened. After we broke out of this horizontal channel, and this is an uptrend. Okay, keep this in mind. And it works the same way as that other pattern does. It's an uptrend. And if it's just going sideways, you almost, unless something bad happens, unless they throw in an offering or earnings come out or something in the news, like an investigation, downgrades, you can start saying, hey, I don't know if I want to stay in this trade much longer. But we follow PayPal, and we knew that it was a bullish trade. It's a COVID trade, and it's going to be part of the new gig economy. And that's the way people are going to make transactions through PayPal. We buy Amazon through PayPal. I buy a lot of stuff through PayPal. I got a PayPal account, and I think everybody should. But back to the chart. And same way with this. If we were up an uptrend and we went diagonally, I would almost consider getting out of the trade unless it was a stock that I liked, one that being in the now. We'll look at some of them stocks here in a second. I'm about done here. So we go to the diagonal and we had to break up. But this took 12 days for it to finally do its thing. But it still was bullish. It had a bullish flag. This is a bullish flag to me. I wouldn't have worried too much if it broke in here. We had an ascending triangle right here. and it found support. That's what I mean. And same as down here, I would probably draw a trend line if we broke out of that channel, and I'd be looking for a new support, and that would be right in here where we had this 1 hour candle, and I'd draw that line there, and I'd draw me another one there. Then I'd look for an equilibrium. I'd look for a pivot point if I was thinking this thing was going to knife. And that pivot point's where we had this high right here. So that's how I'd color this in. I say this might be the new channel if it was coming from a downtrend and it went sideways. I say, no, I'm going to wait till it pulls back to here. Some people would jump right into the trade hoping it would go up here. So you got to recognize these patterns. Patterns will make you a successful trader. And I could have scalped this, many a times. I didn't take the trade. I took it when it was way down at support level, and I called it way down way before anybody else was talking about it. And that was right down, I think it was farther back in here. Let's go to the year. It was back here at the 150 level, right back in here when I started talking about it. So I should have took the trade. I mean, it would have been a long swing. As long as it held my moving averages, it would have been a great trade. But, I'm just don't have the patience to sit there and hold trade forever. Some people do, and a lot of people say it's the only way to trade. Well, I'm going to take these all the way up. Now, I can scalp it all the way up, in and out of it, in and out of it. I'm not going to sit in a trade and watch it pull back and sit on it. I'm going to get out at resistance. I'm going to sell it, and I'm going to wait for the pullback and get back into trade. That's just simple. That's the way I do it. I'm not going to buy it here and just hold on for 2 or 3 years and ride it up. I'd rather make more money going up and down in the trade. And if you can find the support levels and resistance levels, best to you. So now we're going to be building a new channel on PayPal. I'm pulling up the 10 days. So that new channel is going to be where this last resistance line is here. Now this is an ascending triangle. This is called an ascending triangle right here, where you had the 3 tops, and then you had the, let's just draw it in. That will become a solid support. Bam, bam, and then you go ahead and you draw your little line right here. So this line is going to become a solid support. It can pull back to this 230 area. That's probably where I'd set an alert, and I'm going to do that. But I want to look at something else before I do that. That would be a very low place to go, because now we've got a new channel here in the last couple of days. And that's where we pulled back from this candle right here. We hit that wick right there, and then we started right in here. So that's going to be that new channel of support right here. I really like this area, and I need to do this. So when I'm trading PayPal, there's a couple places in here, but I want to go ahead and chalk this one in for right now. And I want to turn this into a red line, because I think that could be a real low solid support level. I'm looking deeper. I'm raising the bar. And then there's another one right in here, and I'm going to go ahead and chalk that in. You see where we've touched back, we've touched back, we've touched back, we touched back. So this area right in here is going to be my low support area, my new low support. And then I'm going to extend this all the way out for my next one. We'll go ahead and color this in, and then we'll start moving stocks that you like to talk about. We're going to chalk this in for a strong buy. And then we're going to go ahead and extend this on out. And I'm going to mark this line right in here for a pivot point, for support level. Okay, level 4. I'm going to make this red. Now, I'm going to call this trade out, PayPal. We got a strong buy, low support down here where this double bottom was. And that's going to be at 233.01. I just want to double check something. Yeah, 233.01, and this number right up in here. Now I think this stock, if it doesn't break out of resistance, we have a triple top, and then the 4th time it just couldn't do it. We're bullish on PayPal, but I think it needs to consolidate like it did in that previous channel. I think it can pull back. So I've got couple support levels, and I got one more support level that I want to put right here where we had these tops. See, we just couldn't break it. We couldn't break it. So we're going to go ahead and draw another line right there. Damn it. We're going to draw another line right in here. And that's going to be the first support level. I want to see, when I say I want to see something hold, I want to see this channel hold at 236.45. I want to see that hold. That'll be a solid support area for the first one. And then I'll have my second one right down here at 235.68. And then the third one's going to be right here at 234.53. As long as it stays in that channel, I'm still bullish. Now, I also know that we could double bottom. Now, this was a very tough Friday. Everything sold off, even PayPal. We had to 238, and it dropped all the way down here to 232. But then, right at the end of the day, we're bullish on the stock. We know it's a good trade. She bounced back up and hit that resistance level. See, we hit this highest bar right here, and that's where she stopped at, right there at that highest bar. So that becomes a hard resistance to break. That's what we want to try to break. So the low support we want to hold is 234.53, 235.68, and then that 236.45. We're still bullish, and then we're in a strong buy if it does double bottom. And I talk about double bottoms a lot. So that's kind of the lesson on how to find the extended trend lines and how to work them. You look for chart patterns and you look for candlesticks. Now, I want to go through one more thing on PayPal here. I'm going to bring this to let's say I'm trading PayPal Friday. Friday was a tough day. Friday was a very tough day. But we did pull back to the bottom of this second support channel that we had previously on the 20-day. How did I get that? Well, I got it from over in here, from this pattern right here, and then she finally dipped on down. And we do that like on a 3 minute. Well, not a 3 minute. Let's go to a 5. This is where we had that support level. See? That support level. And then that bottom part where we had the breakout. Then we had that little candlestick holding right there. And that's where we pulled right back to, was that double bottom. Yeah, I could have went down more. But man, I mean, everything sold off so hard. And to pop at the and we've got the stimulus package. See, I'm thinking they would have passed that stimulus package Friday night, but I was wrong. But I think they passed a continuation for the government to stay open. And they want to get out of Christmas and they want to go home, so they're bound determined to pass some kind of package before that happens because benefits are running out. The unemployment benefits are running out. People are starting to get a little angry. Come on, do your job. You know, if you're not going to do your job, don't go to work. Sometimes I think less government's better. I really do, because I always want to put a spoke wrench into the wheel, and it causes this kind of difficulty. But we did have that nice little pop after hours. People that stuck in the trade were very happy. Me, I like to cost average down a lot. If I was in a trade and I knew it was just because of bull crap, but there was quad witching too, and people were changing their funds. But I've never seen it so drastically sell off like it did Friday. Maybe someone else has a different opinion. I'm okay with that. But we did have a double top, and I think we're going to stay in a channel, go sideways, and move on from there. So that's it. We're going to start talking a few stocks here. Does anybody have any questions about this at all? Let me know. If you have any questions, go ahead and type them in now about the extended trend line method. Remember, we're looking for places of consolidation. We're looking for chart patterns. We're looking for the bodies of the candles. The candlesticks are a big thing to me. I've been really studying the candlesticks hard this year. It's got me in many trades that other people call bearish. I'd rather buy at support and sell at resistance. So I've got that method down to where I'm going to play them pullbacks. I'm going to play it off the 200, maybe here on this chart. Every chart is different with the moving averages. You can't expect the same kind of moving average to have the same kind of number. And we're traders of price action, we're traders of money flow, and we're traders of volatility. I see it going sideways for until after Christmas. I think we'll consolidate. I think we're going to have a little Santa rally. That's the week right after Christmas into the new year. I think people's already changed their funds during the quad day and the options in a way. And you'll have some selling and some buying, but I don't think it'll be as choppy. And I think we will move sideways, but we are setting up, you know. You got to look at this after hour pattern here. It's kind of like an ascending triangle almost. But if we do anything like history repeats itself, we'll go sideways in the channel for a week or two. And when you have huge breakouts like this, you don't want to see it keep going up and up and up. You want them to consolidate. And you want it to stay healthy. You're going to have people that'll get in and out of the trade. And I think it'll do the same thing. I think we're stair-stepping. We'll go sideways for another week, and then maybe after the new year, we'll find new resistance levels. But I'm bullish into PayPal into next year, definitely, because a lot of people are staying home. A lot of people are buying through PayPal. And, you know, Amazon's going to have, I think, EPS, earnings per share, will be up $2.50, I think. And we'll see if that foresight's true. But I want to look for a continuation going sideways and then break on up. And remember that support level if you want to stay in the trade. Let's go here to that support level. If we just stay in the trade and it holds this here support level right around the 233 area, somewhere in that, and keep going sideways, that's great. Now if it starts to break out, I'd take it maybe to 240 is the next step, because it's an all-time high. Another $3 bounce is fine, but I think we're going to go sideways and then move up. We'll have a little bit of up and down. Friday, I can't really count on Friday as a good lead indicator, but I can take the bottom of it and match it up with previous lows. You see, this is where the gap was. Check this out. This is where it pulled back right here. I want you to see this. This is where we had, where was I? The gap right here. You see the gap right there? A lot of times them gaps are solid support levels. That's one reason why I drew this trend line in here. So I don't want to see it go no lower than 233.01. Then I become a little bit bearish. And I think it could pull back to this other candle. That's another $2 dip. But I want to see this gap hold. And a lot of people are gap traders. You'll find a hard resistance and bam. Or she'll pull back to that support level. To the side. So let's see what else we got in here. Like the 14-week you mentioned, yes. I do the yearly chart, the 20-day. And I also look at if we broke resistance levels and we're looking for a new resistance, and I can find a chart that I'll go back 3 years. If we're in a sell-off and we break all them support levels, I'll go back 5 years, like we did back during the COVID crash. When we had the COVID crash, I was calling the Dow to hit 20,000. And I said if we get to 18, that's going to be a real strong buy. And that time we were almost at 30. And it dipped all 10,000 points, 12,000 points in a matter of weeks, a few weeks. I knew we were going to have a recovery. I kind of picked a stair-step recovery is what I wanted to see, but we had a V recovery, as you can tell. The thing just V'd up, and then we broke out of resistance, and a lot of these COVID plays broke out. So we were talking COVID. We put a little news place, COVID. It's like during the Bitcoin craze, the penny stocks, they were jumping 2, 3, 4, 5,000% in a day. Anything that mentioned Bitcoin ran. And we're talking about the pot sector. Once it legalized it in the United States, the American pot stocks are going to fly. A lot of traders around the world trade the American market if they can. I'm not a bullish trader when it comes to the China market, but you're hearing a lot of fat cats talk about getting in the China plays. I can't do that right now, not until they calm down a little bit. I'll scalp every China play there is, but I'm not going to sit there and hold them long. I just won't do it. It's against my rules. I have rules. So let's see what else we got here. I think it will affect the rest of the index. I think Tesla is the biggest cap company right now in the S&P. I think a lot of people are starting to turn bullish on it that weren't. I mean, you're going to have your idiots out there that are bearish on Tesla no matter what, because they're looking at the fundamentals. That's why sometimes the fundamentals don't mean much to me. It's the technical side of the chart that means everything to me. It's the volume. I pick up things that the fundamentals won't pick up. And that's volume. That's the momentum of a trade. So I choose to take the technical side of the chart instead of learning more about the fundamentals. A lot of traders that are bearish with Tesla are fundamental traders. They don't understand why this stock is running. And I've tried to explain to everybody out there, it's just not a car company. It's a tech company. And we'll talk about Tesla right now because it's on my list. It's a tech company. It's a first idea of taking a car and having a computer at a home base and tuning that car up to the computer. Then the EV sector is just nuts. Everybody wants to invest in the EV market finally. And it took government to get out of our business for this to do it. I don't like the government dictating the market. I like the market to do its own little thing and let the private sector dictate the market. I can't stand it when the government throws out a bunch of money like in solar panels and we lose $600 million overnight through scams and scandals. People that invest their own money will try to make it work than rather using taxpayers' money and blowing it. And it's just my cycle of way I understand. I'd rather have the private sector. So this is a private sector play to me. It's being helped, with EV credits and everything like that. But it's a tech stock. It's not just a car company. So we're going to look at Tesla. And I've got a big target on. Did we talk about Tesla already? Yeah, we did, didn't we? We'll move on. I think it's going to go to 750. And I think that support level was on down. So let's go to the top of the list. I'm going to take a drink of water. If there's any more questions, I'd sure like for you to ask. This is the extended trendline method on how to catch knives. And we're going to go through these when I go through the charts that you all mentioned. But I want to talk about another one that's really hot right now. And that's FEYE. Whoop. I traded this stock and got out of it, but I went to see my doctor's appointment. Now I'm looking at a 3-year chart, okay? I'm looking at a 3-year chart. Why? Because we broke out of a year high. If I pull up this chart, we broke the yearly high. And that resistance was right here, this last candle. So I'm going to put this in here. Bam. And I'm going to draw a couple trend lines. But we had a nice little breakout. And then I'm going to look and drew another trend line right in here. But we're breaking resistance. So I want to try to figure out how can I find a resistance level to take this higher. And I can't find it on a 1-year chart. So I'm going to go back 3 years. Now I've got places where I can find resistance level. We broke that 200. It's that 200 right here. How strong that was of a resistance level. We're going to take the top of that candle right there. and we're going to draw this line on FEYE. We're bullish on this because of the cyber attack of Russia. This is what they do, like a firewall. I want to look at the news and say, what the heck, making this stock run? It's security risk. It's a security stock. Okay? So let's go ahead and trip this up to the 3-year. We're going to look for other support levels. We're going to find resistance level right here. Then we're going to find another one right here. Then on down, I'll go down here a little farther, and then I'm just trying to find different places of resistance. Now I know this top line is going to be a hard resistance, so I want to take and color that in red, because that'll remind me later down the line that this is going to be a hard resistance level, and we've got to break that. Now I want to go up to the wicks, and I want to grab a wick right here, and that's going to be another resistance level. Now I just want to take one more measure on this chart. I'm going to go back just a little farther, 5 years, and see if there's anything different that I'm missing here. We'll go 5 years, and we'll take it to the month. So we had a 5-year high back here at 22.48. I want to go ahead and put that in there. We could hit, this stock can run up to that 22.48, but for right now we have a hard resistance right here on the top of these candles. You see that? So we're going to pull up the 20-day now. Every one of these, this was just a wonderful, exciting run. You don't see this very often. So what are we going to do? We're going to look for a place to pull back. I've got trend line almost on every one of these except right here and right down here. Now on a 20-day, we got a 50% retracement all the way down here to 1665. I'm going to be looking for, on a breakout like this, I like to see a 50% retracement. And then I start getting very interested in the stock. That's a solid support level, low support if I wanted to take the trade. Now I also want to look at this on a daily 1 minute and look for places of consolidation. We had a flag right here. We had a flag right here. We had the flag, we had the double top. We had the top here, and she pulled right back to there. So resistance level, I think it's going to be right in here, right at 1798 where we had these tops. I want to color these 3 channels in for maybe a pivot point to that low support. But I think we can hit this number right here at 1797. I'm going to color that number in. I like to color that one in. Why? Because it's the top of that channel. It's the top of that channel. Now see where we're right here? We hit the top. We hit this right here. We pulled back twice to that. Then after hours, we pulled back to that. We have a descending pattern. We have lower highs. Draw a trend line here. Telling me that it's a little bearish. Now we could see a pullback first thing in the morning and then a bounce back up. But this is called a descending pattern. All the way across. So this support has to hold. This number has to hold right here, and that's right there at 1867 to have a continuation back up. If this number does not hold, I guarantee it will go down to the second tier, to the second channel right here. I'm going to color it in. I'm not in a hurry to get in this trade unless it breaks a resistance level, and I'll show you where I think that resistance level is that would want me to get into the trade. And that's going to be right in here where we had this previous high at 1921. Right there. That previous high right into close is a solid little resistance level. So I want to color that in red. And when I'm going to call this trade out, I'm going to show you exactly how I would call it out as I'd call it out in the room. And that's all I want to say about it. If you're not listening to the chart or listening to what I got to say, you don't care. Move on to someone else. But I want to buy it at support level. I don't want to chase it unless it breaks a certain resistance level. So I would think, and I don't want to sit there and hold it for 3 years thinking it's going to bounce. So I'm pulling back to right around this low channel support level. I'd like to see it hold, and that's between 1781 and 1861 for my first channel of support. If this fails, we could see it drop down to this next consolidated area. But I'm going to set a strong buy. I'm bullish on the trade, but I think this will just last and they'll pull back and then we'll bounce back up to resistance. I don't want to go ahead and set an alert here for a strong buy, and I want to raise it up just a little bit. And we'll change the number here to right around 70. I'll put ask in here, and I'll drop that below. And I've got my little alert set down here for a very strong buy. But I'm going to be watching the trade here. So my next support level is going to be the bottom of this trend line. And I want this to hold. And I'm going to set an alert right there too for the reversal back up. I'll set it at the ask, below, and create. There's my other one. Then I want to set another one down here for another second support area. This is going to be my first at 1869. The second one's going to be in this channel right here. And I'm going to set an alert here at the pivot point. There it is. Change it to the ask and below, and bam. And then I'm going to have my third support level is going to be right down here. This is going to be my third where we had this little ascending triangle. And I'm going to turn that into a red line. This is FEYE. I know it takes a little bit of time, but you got to have some kind of trading strategy. Some people will use Bollinger Band. Some people will use it, anything. I use the moving averages in my extended trend line. So I got 3 solid supports. I've got this channel I want to see hold. I've got the 1869 for a reversal if it just kind of sits here and breaks on up. And I want to try to break this resistance level at 1983. And then if it does that, we're going to go into that 3-year high, or that 1-year high. Then we have a strong buy at second support, and that's going to be right down here between 1781 and the 1816 area, with a strong buy at the pivot point. And then if that fails, and I'm not going to get into the trade until I see a confirmation that it's moving up with the candlesticks. Then I got that third support right down here at 1723, where we had the ascending triangle. Then a strong buy at 1670 if it just knifes. I mean, they could come out with an offering. This thing could knife back up. People are stuck in the trade and run it back up to resistance level of 1869. So that's that. Next one we'll talk about is PTON, and we'll go right into you all. People that can hold trades for a long time have money to hold. If you're a small trader with a small account, you don't want to sit there and watch it for 20, 30 weeks. You want to get into a trade that's moving, and you want to try to build that account up. So here we are at the yearly daily. And this is PTON. PTON is bullish. PTON is the new wave with COVID. People are building exercise rooms into their houses, using bedrooms for an exercise room because people still need to stay fit. And I think with the germophobic, people are going to have like a different psychological attitude when it comes to hands and being around people. I mean, people stopped smiling at each other, I noticed, before COVID, and I'm always smiling, open doors for people. And I think we're just going to go into a different phase where people are going to be leery of going into the gyms. So they want to go ahead and keep working out, and they're going to work out from home. So I'm very bullish on PTON. And I've got a high target on this one because we did break resistance level here. And I'm going to go ahead and clear this chart up. Please hit that like button and share this video, and it will be recorded. I'd surely appreciate that. But we're going to look for areas of support, and we're going to look for areas where I think it's going to break out to. We made an all-time high Friday. This stock didn't hardly get affected at all. This was one of the good runners that came out, but it did have a little sell-off right into close because they were indecisive with the stimulus package, and everybody just got out of the market. And then bam, we had the recovery down here at the double bottom on the daily. And I'm looking for places of patterns, and I always talk about the spinning top and the dojis. And we've got a gravestone pattern right here, butterfly pattern, butterfly candle. And then she finally broke out a resistance level, and bam, she was bullish all the way up. See how she pulled back to that resistance right here? That's what I'm looking for, a breakout. And I haven't had my confirmation yet. I want it to break out of that previous high. So I'm in the trade before everybody else is looking at it. They jump in on the engulfing candle. I'm down here looking at this trade, wanting to get into the trade if I'm not in it, or if I wanted to add on to the trade knowing that I'm bullish on PTON. Maybe I got in up in here and knifed on me, and I'm saying, oh shit. But, I want to get back in the trade, so I want to look for indicators. And we got the doji right here, and we've got, this is called kind of like a spinning top. And I'm looking for candlestick patterns that are showing me a sign of reversal. Then when we had the butterfly and it didn't hold, that's the one I wanted to break. I wanted to break that, and then she held up for a pretty good support level. So let's go ahead and get back to the chart. We're going to look at the yearly. I think PTON can pull back because it had a pretty good little extension here. And I'm going to look for a place that is consolidated, and that's right in here. I'm going to get me a pencil and paper out so I can write these down. We got a Tesla, TSLA, PayPal, and then we got PTON. So I'm looking for places of consolidation. Maybe right in here, 128.26. Now, Vegas has been very bullish on this stock, and I have too. We've had a pretty rough little time right in here when she pulled back. I don't know why it sold off like that did, but it did find a little support level. So if I was eager to catch a knife on this trade here, I'd look for that previous high. And if you'd have seen that previous high back when we had this sell-off, you would have probably took this trade. Also, do you see the ascending triangle? We also had an ascending triangle right here. Let me redo this. And if I was in the trade earlier, this is where I would have probably looked for to get in the stock. Or if I wasn't in the trade and I wanted to get into the trade, then you had the line right here. Now this, I always talk about chart patterns. I mentioned it a little bit earlier about ascending triangles, right? So I'm just going to take it and I'm just going to go up. Well, let me get this right here. Okay, I'm going to see here. I want to be able to see this. There we go. I had that doji right here. I'm going to take it right up to this candle right here, okay? I'm going to extend that all the way out to the right. And we had that breakout pretty fast once it pulled back to that trend line right there. See? I measured it from here, and she pulled right back to that trend line. And then she had the breakout. And then she fell back to that support level, that horizontal line on that ascending triangle. So if you're wanting to learn how to catch knives or how to catch pullback, look for a previous pattern. Draw ascending triangles is my favorite one of all patterns out there. They're always bullish. You can't say always. You can give a pretty high percentage, okay? Pretty high percentage. And she pulled right back to it. So now we're going to look for another previous high. We're going to find the secret where this thing can pull back to. You see this right in here? This candle? That was the previous high. So we're going to draw that in. We're going to draw that in with a line. Now I'm telling you, this stock can pull back to this line right here. But I need another confirmation. But I do want to make this red. My one confirmation is that it was a top. And that could be a solid support level. I want to look for another confirmation if I can find one, and I can't. I can't find one. Except we had 3 black crows right in here. So I'm just going to call that a low support. That's where I want it to hold, at 126.70. That's a $10 dip. You know, that's a pretty good little dip, but look what happened here. 136 all the way down to 98. That's almost a $40 dip, 38 bucks. So I'm saying it could pull back to this previous high that we had right here for a strong buy at 128.70, 126.70. But let's take it to the 20-day. Let's look at the 20-day candle. Whoops. And see if I missed anything from that yearly chart. And there's a couple places in here, like right in here at 129.45. That's pretty good right there. And then we got another little consolidated area after hours at 134.16. And maybe the top of this previous day high at 137.42. Then we have a pennant flag. See that? That's called a pennant flag. That's what we formed on Friday. So we're going to draw this flag in. That's another pattern. That's telling me that PTON can break out of resistance level. This stock's telling me that it's on its way to move on up. But and you don't know how other traders are going to trade. So I'm going to put another little line right here at 138.53. I'm using the bodies of the candle. We do have a pennant flag right here. So I'm semi-bullish with it. I'm more than 50% bullish with this trade right now for another breakout because we just had a flag. And I'm going to draw that flag in. Right here. That's called a pennant flag. Now it can pull back to this lower support level or it can break out of resistance. Let's magnify this up a little bit. Draw a trend line all the way across for resistance level. This is how you try to find supports, pivot points, and resistance levels. You look for previous patterns, descending triangle, breakout. Pulled back to the pivot point, bam, broke out. So this stock, low support, we want it to hold this channel right in here. It runs into the 34 EMA. It's holding the 9 right here on the hour chart. See how it's held the 9 all the way up? If you just want to trade with the 9 on an hour chart, you can trade that way. You can this will keep you in a swing trade longer. If you use the 9 on the 1 hour chart, this will keep you in the trade. Okay? Once it breaks below that 9, a body of a candle or a whole candle, get out of the trade. Especially when you're at resistance. You know, if this thing pulls off tomorrow and we have a day candle that's below the 9 EMA, I would consider maybe getting out of the trade and looking for a dip, for a pullback. That's the way I would look at it. Because the 9, as long as it holds that 9, you're bullish. And this is on a 20-day, 1 hour. So let's go to the minute and see if there's anything I missed on here. We got a pivot point right in here. We got a little kind of flag. See the flag right here, the pennant flag? See that? Pennant flag. She broke out of that pennant flag. But then the indecisiveness of being in the now and how the government was acting Friday, traders were already, it was quad, so there's a lot of reasons for pullbacks. And then at the end of the day, the hell with it. People got back into trade. So I want to look for a little support area in this flag. I want to go to this previous high right here. When I'm trying to draw this out. And just kind of run it around and see if it looks good. Then I want to take it back up to here maybe. I'm looking for places. Going sideways with it. Looking for places I want to break. And then we had a top right up in here. Right there is a hard resistance and a hard resistance. So I more or less got this set up. I want to look for a pivot point in this area of consolidation. And there's one right here. So let's go back to the 20-day and just have one more little look. It's kind of blurry. I don't see much in here. I know that we had a pennant flag, and we have a solid support right down here from the previous day. We're going to color that line in. That's going to be a strong buy if it dips down to 137.42. That's a $3 dip. Your second support's going to be right in here, right at the 138.53. And then you got your first one right down here, right 139. Let me see, 138.50, 139.29 is your first support. Resistance to break is going to be this top we had here on that day. That's going to be right around 140.82 with a strong resistance at 141.58. If we break that, we're going to move up higher. I got a target to 150 on PTON. I'm bullish on it. I'd rather wait and get in at a support level. Strong buy at 137.42. Okay, next. You got that? Did you like that, June? Hey, June. PLTR, for sure. Let's look at it, Chris. I appreciate it more when we got people that want to sit here and watch how these trend lines are drawn. It tells me that you're still in the learning stage, and that you want to improve your trading skills. And like I said, I don't know it all, but I am real good at charting, and I need a little bit more recognition of that sometimes, especially when I'm calling supports and I'm selling at resistance. A lot of times when things pull back, I get back in on the dip. Plain and simple. PLTR, I have it charted up pretty much. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you where I think. I kind of went through the lessons of how to try to find these things, and if they're charted up, I'm not going to try to mess with it too much, but I do want to do one thing, and I want to look at the yearly. The yearly, I always like to look at the year chart. This thing ain't been around very long, 3 months. We've had a pretty good little run. We had a hard resistance up here at 31.12. We're pulled down. We have a descending pattern, but we also have a pennant flag. So I think we're squeezing. I think we're getting ready to squeeze. Now, how do I find this? There's a couple things in here that I got to look at. When I go to drawing trend lines, we broke out of that pattern. We started going sideways. But I think we're squeezing again into another flag, my opinion. We'll go right here and hit this line here. I want to extend that all the way to the right. That's going to be my resistance level to break. And I'm going to take this down here. And I'm going to extend this to the right. I'm not going up here and drawing lines. I'm taking the first pullback I see. And that tells me that we're still, and we broke out of that channel. But I think Friday was a strange day for everything. So I'm not going to take it too much for granted. But I do believe we're starting to squeeze. So we have a resistance that we got to break. And that's going to be right here at 28.62. And this moving average, this trend line will change throughout the day. So if you're charting them up, I want you to chart these flag patterns out and use these trend lines as support levels and resistance levels. For example, if it decides to pull back to this previous red line that I have at 24.36, I'm going to be serious about taking it back up to the next resistance. This is the pivot point at 27 inside the flag. It's the pivot point. It's the place where it's going to decide if it wants to go up or if it wants to go ahead and have drama. We're bullish on this trade. PLTR, we've been bullish on this trade. We've been bullish on this trade for quite a while, from $10, and it's ran all the way up. It's consolidating and it's squeezing. So we're going to have a sharp pullback to this support level at 24.36 and hold, or we're going to break out of resistance, and that resistance level is going to be this top trend line at 28.58, 28.60. As the day goes out, it goes down farther. So it could be 28. But remember, that's a pivot point. We're bullish on this one. Support level is going to be right here at 24.36. Resistance to break is the pivot point at 2707. And this is one that I charted up, and I was kind of joking around with it because every resistance line I had 07 on it, and I don't see that very often. And I almost saw it up here at this resistance again. I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You never see a puzzle like that ever. And I've done over 1 million charts. I can't recall ever seeing that. So we got to break this 2707, and we'll go up just dollar intervals, 28, 29, 30, 31. And that's how we're going to do it. Hard resistance to break is going to be 3112. So we're consolidating, we're squeezing. I think this thing can pull back just a little bit to 2436 and then bounce back up and break these resistance levels. PLTR, I hope that was some help. Next. Limerick, hello. BFT, let's do it. Never charted it before. This is a new one on me. Let's go ahead and do something here. Let's look at the yearly. Not been out very long. Let's look at the 20-day. I'll get a better, well, let's look at the yearly here. Let's go back to that. Okay, we got solid support right in here. You see what I'm talking about? I'm looking for a pivot point. I always look for the pivot point first. That determines if I'm bullish or bearish in the trade. And I'm looking for patterns as I'm doing that. We have a doji candlestick. Another one right here. We have a spinning top. Someone call it different. Morning star. So we got a little support level right here. That's going to be my pivot point. You know what that pivot point becomes? It becomes a solid support. You know why? Bam, 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 bam. It's a pivot point area. It found support and it found resistance. 3 days of resistance and 3 days of support, more or less. Then I'm going to chalk it up to the next body. I'm not using the wicks. The body is my threshold. The body is my confirmation. The body tells me that's where the buyers and sellers decided to go ahead and leave it. The body. The wick don't mean crap to me unless I'm in the trade and I'm looking for a bearish or bullish pattern. Or I'm looking for a resistance beyond the body of the candle. And that's going to be right here at 1430. Then we got a hard resistance right here out of the body of this candle at 1523. So I'm done more or less, but I've got 2 resistance levels, support levels. I'm going to put one more in here for the third, and then strong buy down here at the bottom of this candle at 1276. I want to make sure that I get this in there because we could have a knife. We could have a knife, and it could pull back to either one of these areas. Now I'm done with this. Let's pull up the 20-day and see if I missed anything. Now 20-day gives me a total different picture. What was that pivot point area? I'm going to go back to that year. I got to color that pivot point in. That's where I made my mistake right there. I got to go right in here because that's going to be a solid support area for me. Then we'll go to the 20-day and see where that lands. Now see what we have here. What have I been talking about here today? What is that? What kind of flag is that? Anybody tell me in the room what kind of flag that is? Anybody recognize what kind of flag that is? What kind of flag is this? You want me to show you? Ta-da! That's called a pennant flag. That's a bullish pennant flag. Just coming up from the bottom, and you got that. That's a bullish pennant flag. That's what you want to look for support levels. And we see we broke out of that resistance line up here on that pennant flag, and she's pulled back to that a couple of times, see? So that's strong support. If we're bullish on BFT, we want this number to hold right here. And that number is at 1348, 1350. Let's round it up a little bit. So that's going to be our first support. That's the support we want to hold. If not, we'll pull back to these other three support levels. This is the pivot point on a 20-day. This is the support level we want to hold. If it doesn't hold, I'll be setting me a strong buy right down here at this level. Whoop, wrong one. A strong buy right down here. I'm going to raise it up just a little bit so I can be ready for it. Create an alert. And I appreciate you pointing these tickers out to me because I'm going to be watching them come Monday. Now we got 4 days of trading. Well, there's a couple things we got to think about. It's not an ordinary season for Santa Claus to come see us because he might have COVID. So everybody's been ordering online for their presents. A lot of people are going to stay home and ship them out to their family and friends because of COVID. They don't want to get their grandma sick, or they don't want to get their mother sick of elderly ages. They want to show a little bit of... I'm staying home during Christmas holiday this year, and I had done a song today about how my blue Christmas is going to be, but Mama says it's got to be like that. So we got a pivot point area here at 1348 we want to hold, and then we've got these other three support levels. And we want to see it not, if it pulls back to 1273 and I'm bullish on the trade, I'm going to be in it. One thing I didn't check out is the news. I like to see if there's been any upgrades. It's a SPAC, right? Yeah, this could be a pretty good little trade. So we want to pull back to the pivot point, and resistance to break is going to be this one right here, and that's going to be the 1454. If we can get up there, we'll get up to these new highs, and then we've got a hard resistance right here at 1599. Now, if I'm taking the trade, if it was me, and it didn't want to break this double top, and I was down here right around 14, I'd take that $2 and I'd run with it. If it didn't want to break the double top, I wouldn't be looking at the wick. See, I'm looking at the body. That's where the mustard is. You know, I'm not going to, if it doesn't break that $16, I'm out of the trade. Now I'm in the trade if it pulls back to this 200. I use the 20-day a lot. On my moving averages too, when I want to get into a trade, I'll use that 20. And a lot of times I'll bounce off that 20. But this has had an immaculate run. It broke out of a good pennant flag, and it's pulled back to consolidation on that pivot point. Right now we've had higher lows, and we have another little, I don't know, we've had higher lows, so it's bullish. Let's break the resistance of 1454. If we can, we'll get it up to these three different resistance levels at 1487, 1520, and then long up here at $16. And if that double top doesn't break, I'm out of the trade. Strong buy at 1281 if it does not hold the pivot point. Okay, we got that one done. Limerick, BFT. So you see PayPal going sideways. We talked about that. I didn't even see what time. Oh, heck. We've been at this for what, an hour and a half? Yep. You're the BY. Did you forget to put the boy in there? June? Oh, the best. I got you. I'm by far the best. I understand. Let's take a look at this one here, Dom Mafia. Hey, you want to see a picture of me with my Mafia suit on? I'm going to show you a picture of my Mafia suit before I get on to this next trade. I might scare you a little bit. Oh, there he is. That's me in my Mafia outfit and undercover. Back when I was nominated Homecoming King nominee at the college I went to. That was back in 1989. A long time ago. Excuse me. So let's look at NNDM. NNDM. Everybody hears me very well through my blue Yeti. Okay, now there's a 7-second delay on this YouTube. I'm looking at the yearly chart and I'm seeing a very bullish stock. I want to know what this company does. So I'm going to check out the news. I always like to know and be in the now. It closes on the 9th, they closed 180 million direct offering. So when they close an offering, I get bullish on the trade. Let's see what happened here on the 9th. Let's see what happened here on the 9th. I'm going to look at 20-day. Had a little pullback on the 9th. Not much. It didn't want to dip too much. Consolidated and we're back up. So let's see here. Shares of technology companies are trading higher on the overall market and increased stimulus optimism. Nano dimensions are 180. Okay, I want to do one more thing. Now, when I'm looking for a float size, I like to type in, if y'all are not familiar with FinViz, I like to know what size of float this stock is in. So I'm going to type this in the ticker. I'm going to type this in. This is going to give me another idea of who's trading the stock. Because I kind of want to know what kind of company am I keeping in this trade. This is a 45 million float. I'm okay with that. Anything under 25 million, and the lower the number, the more volatile the stock will get. The higher the number of the 25 million is mostly less volatile. So if I got 25 million float, I'm happy to just see it go up a little bit every day and not have much volatility. If it has a lot of volatility, I'm a little bit cautious of the trade. Now if I'm in a 1, 2 million, 5 million float, 2 million, 0.5, I know it's being pumped. I know a lot of people are going to be in and out of the trade, and it's going to have a lot of volatility. A lot of people out there trade low float stocks only. This is a 45 million, and it's a good float. I mean, this is a happy float. I'm happy with that. So let's go back to the chart. I want to look at one other chart that I have. I showed you my SMA, my MAs. I want to look at the SMA. Oh, where'd it go? I thought I had one on here. Well, I'll find one. Gosh, where did they all go? There we go. I might talk about SPY too. I like using the 200 EMAs in two different ways. I like to look at the yearly chart, and we're going to use this to start off charting with. We got a support level right here. It needs to hold. You see the top of the wick of this candle right here? And how it bounces off this base of these bodies of these other candles? This is going to be our low support. And I hope you're taking pencil and paper down and writing these numbers down, or at least getting ideas of what I'm kind of talking about and add it to your arsenal a little bit. Never hurts. I'm drawing the candle right in here where we had this ascending triangle with the higher lows. I'm going to draw another one right in here where we had the body of this candle and this right here, and then the wick touched that. I'm going to go up a little bit higher right in here. I'm going to bring it down to the top of that candle right there. Then I got another one right here and another one right here. And then final resistance level right here at 757. Now, we're going to see how this compares to a 20-day chart. In fact, I want to go ahead and draw this little candle right in here. Maybe I'm getting too tight, but we'll look at it on the 20-day. Kind of in the way here, but this is a real solid line right here on the 20-day. I'm going to magnify it up right in here. So that's where we're going to put our little support line. In fact, I'm going to look for a pivot point area on this 20-day. And it basically is in this channel right in here. This thing's real solid right up in here. There's a real solid support. You see how we tried to break out of it many times? You see that? And how she's pulled back to that area? So we're going to call that the pivot point area on this 20-day chart. In between them two lines. Now I'm going to color this in. I want to color this channel in. This is a channel. This is a channel right here. Okay? I'm satisfied with calling this a channel because we pulled back here, and we pulled back here, and then we couldn't break here. So we're looking for knives. You know, we want to look for knives just in case it does decide to pull back. I always look at a trade for the support levels before I look at resistance levels. Always. I want to get in it. I want to buy it at support and sell it at resistance. Resistance is going to be up here at 797 on the 20-day. So I'm setting a game plan. I'm setting a game plan right now. I know that this is the low support channel. I want to see it hold this 641 if it decides to pull back to that 641. That's another red line. We're talking about NNDM, right? I didn't type in the wrong one. Mafia's got his pencil and paper out. Oh, you're the guy from the DM options last week. Hey! I remember that. Glad to meet you. So we're looking for support level. This is kind of choppy chart. You see what I'm saying? It's kind of choppy. I mean, it don't like to hold its gains very well. That's what I'm seeing here. Now we're on a 2-day run. So I'm thinking we're going to pull back. I think we'll pull back a little bit. It's either going to hit this confirmation of the 200 on top of that resistance level between 679 and 895. That's going to be your first support. Your second one's going to be the pivot point in that channel right here between 659 and that was a 666. That number needs to be changed to a 7. 667 with a strong buy down here at 641. Resistance to break is going to be this high that we had on Friday at 728. If we can break past that, this little area right in here, we'll get to the 3 next resistances with a double top at 797. If that doesn't hold, take your cash and play the pullback. If we get up to the double top, it's going to be the previous resistance level that we had down here for support. That's how I look at this trade. Strong buy down here at 641, 667, and 685 for your support areas, being the 667 a pivot point in the channel. Resistance to break at 728, 732, and then you have your 3 resistances long to 790. If the double top doesn't break, take your money. Unless some news comes out and it gets bullish on us. That's going to be NNDM, I mean. Okay, Spotify, what's next? NIU chart, the EV car company. NIU. I really do appreciate people sticking around. I didn't know if I was going to have a little crowd or a big crowd, and I think I have a big one. Hit that like button. That way YouTube knows I'm trying my best to help people out. Share these videos if you can. It will be recorded and it will pop up on I Love Stocks YouTube channel. Share it with your friends that want to learn how to chart. I'd really appreciate it. We have an ascending triangle right here on NIU. Now I want to check out the news. ExxonMobil to improve operation efficiency at NIU. Now is this a China play? I want to check the float. Did you know that there's over 200 EV car companies that have popped up in the last year or two in China? There's a 54 million float. Also, you can take you straight to the website if you're in FinViz. And another thing I like to do when I'm looking up a stock, I'll type in the chart, I'll type in the ticker, NIU, right? Yeah. And I'll look for, where is it? Well, I'm going to type in something different here and get on FinViz, get on the, and then I'll type in IU. I like to look on here for any kind of news that pops up on here that might not be on the regular site. It's definitely Beijing, so that gives me a little bearishness to it, but it's a moped. I mean, these things are selling worldwide. And if you ever watch these Asian countries that have the crazy mopeds, and it's all they drive. That's all they, they put 2 or 3 people on them. I'm bullish on this trade in the long run into 2021. I'm bullish on the EV market, period. But I'm also bullish on this because millions of people drive mopeds. And electric ones, they're a big bang. And I've been bullish on this trade. So let's go ahead and start looking at it. I know what I'm looking at. And that's what I expect every one of you to do is look at the float, look at what country or what company they are, what sector they're in. Are they in the now? We're in the now. They've got price target raised to $36 on this trade. It enters a partnership. Aurora Mobile, this is huge, enters a partnership with NIU Technologies. There you go. It's another smart move. So that gives me more eagerness to be bullish on this trade. Now I'm going to go to the 1 year and I'm going to see where the moving averages are on the 50 and the SMA. We're definitely going to break this 50. So I think we're in the verge of breaking the 50. We are showing kind of a pullback and then a retracement back up with higher lows and an ascending triangle. So this is what you call a inverse ascending triangle. Inverse means it could reverse. Belch. So we'll bring us up to, I'm going to look for a little pivot point resistance line on this triangle right here. And I'm going to look for other places that are kind of pivot pointed like that candle right there. And then we have this in here. So that's a pretty good little support area. Then we're going to try to find the bottom line support down here. We broke out of this channel down here. Remember me talking earlier about the sideways channel? Now look at this. This is a long trade, but you could have got in and out of this trade many a times between 18 and 22 bucks. Now are you going to be a fool and sit there and hold this forever? Especially when you have lower highs? No. You're going to take it. You're going to get your profit out of resistance. And you're going to find that support level that's right down in here and get back in the trade. So this is definitely a sideways diagonal channel. It's bullish because it come from the upside, from the downside up, and then we had the breakout. So we've created another channel right in here. We're going to draw that line right there, red. I almost feel like I want to clean this up a little bit. I think I will. I think I'm going to start fresh with this because I'm getting confused. Now I'm looking at a whole new section here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw this trend line from the low right here. And I'm going to draw another one right here. See, that's just getting too blurry. And there's a time where you just got to kind of keep it fresh and keep it simple. And that's another rule when I go to doing watch lists. We have an ascending triangle right here. That's what support I got to hold to stay. And this is going to be a real strong resistance line. Red. Then I want to bring it up. And I'm going to go ahead and find. Now, I like this trade. I like it a lot. I think it's tradable. I really do. I think it's bullish pattern right now is what I'm seeing. The higher lows. Looking for, oh, see, I missed this. You gotta measure twice, cut once. So it's kind of choppy in here. So I'm going to try to find an equilibrium. These candlesticks right there. Then I'll bring it up a notch. I don't want to go too far out. I can always add on later if the momentum's increasing. And then I want to try to find a support level here in between this channel right in here. I want to see how it lines up all the way down the road. Bam, 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 bam. Yeah, okay. Let's bring us to the 20-day now. We got too much on here already. Nice little channel. And we started breaking out of that channel right here. So let's put a support line right in the middle of that channel and call it a pivot point. Where we had these highs. Another chart pattern. I'm looking for chart patterns. I'm looking for like double bottoms. See? Bam, 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 bam. Then I'm going to throw this 26-23 out of the loop right now. Why? Because I want to look for a body right there. I'd rather change it to 26.57 on the hour. So we got a pivot point area that we need to break, and that's resistance at 29.69. Your first support is going to be right down here at 28.33, 27.38 with a strong buy on a double bottom at 26.57. But I think we'll hold this support level here at 27.36 if it decides to pull back. I'm also going to use this 20 SMA for a support level in case it wants to bounce off that. We did find resistance hitting it. See that? So that can become a solid support line on the moving average on the SMA, and that's the 200 on a daily 1 hour. Every chart time frame will act different on the moving averages. Then we want to break resistance levels of the 30.41, 31.11, and 32.06. And then you get it up in here to where everything's a gift if it starts to run at 33.07 and 34.51. But right now I'm bullish on the trade. I think it can hold this trend line at 27.59 and bounce back up and try to break resistance. Or we go ahead and continue on out and break the hard resistance. Okay? Hard resistance. See, it didn't make its mind up Friday. It pulled back to it. So if it pulls back and comes back up and breaks that, and we start to move up, you can count on these other resistance levels. Now on this recording, you can go through it and stop it at any time and write these charts down. You're welcome to use them for your own goodwill. And if you share them with anybody, just let them know that Washboard Jim is the one that gave it to you. So that's that. And what do we got? Spotify, SPOT. I've had my neck broke before, so I got to straighten it up every once in a while. I've had it punched on probably 5,000 times. I used to box, and I'm feeling the pain from it. So let me see. The next one is SPOT, S-P-O-T. Let's look at the yearly chart here. See how I've been using these trend lines? Whenever you have like a lower high, I want you to draw a trend line from the top of that candle to the top of the next one and just draw it down. A lot of times that creates a resistance level. Then we finally broke out of it. Bam. So we're creating a new channel. And I've talked about this on a few stocks already. When you have a big breakout, you're going to have time of consolidation. And you're going to have pullbacks. And you want to try to find where that pullback is going to be. We got a resistance to break at 342.61. And we got another one right in here. So, and now we want to look for the previous high. And we're going to call that a solid support level. And that's going to be right here, 291. I'm going to make this a 3. Then I know that's pretty solid. If it does not hold this support level here from this engulfing candle, I think it would be a real strong buy if it did hit down here at 289. But that's a huge dip, right? We don't want to see that. So we'll go to the 20-day. And that was our diagonal pattern where it pulled back here. So that's a solid support at 314.57. I want to look for an equilibrium in this channel right in here. We'll do that through the previous high. Bam. Now, I'd like to color this red, because I think that's where the second solid support is, if it decides to pull back. But I'll tell you what gives me the reason that it might not pull back. And there's a chart pattern right here. How many times have I talked about this? What is this? Anybody tell me what kind of pattern that is? I'll give you one more second, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Thought I had this down already. Bam! The ascending triangle. That's an ascending triangle on a daily. So that's poised to go ahead and break out. Chart patterns. Recognize them chart patterns if you want to stay in a trade. That's an ascending triangle. So that could break out of resistance level at 336.60 and bring it up to these higher highs. And that's going to be between, whoop, magnify this up a little bit, 342.79. Let's pull up this yearly and see if there's something I missed. We're at all-time high on a year, and I know it's an all three-year high. So we're bullish on this stock. I think it's going to be a great play into 2020. 2021. So let's look at it like this. A solid buy if it pulls back to 324.95. That first support level is going to be right down here at 328.54 if this doesn't hold and it pulls back. It can pull back. It can pull back. It can pull back $5 or $6 in a day. See what I'm saying? This day it pulled back $10. So it can pull back. But we're at a bullish, you don't see any, maybe an ascending triangle. Well, not really. This is a pattern that could keep it bullish if it decides to break out. So our new high will be, the resistance that we're going to have to break is going to be at 342.61 and 343.79 with a double top at 346.44 with a strong buy at 324.95 or 328.54. Those are in case it knives and pulls back. And we always can pull back to this low support here at 314. And that'd be a very strong buy to keep it in the channel. And that is Spotify. So let's see what else is next. Yes, I use OBS. You like it? Nice and clear, and just got an update on it. Yes, I use OBS. Let me show you. Got it set up to my Bluetooth here. I got the webcam hooked up. Works pretty good. Sometimes it'll make you cross-eyed if you look at it. Okay, the next stock after Spotify. Let's see. X. Is that what you want me to look at? Put on X? I was so close to that put on X last week, but I lost it. We like X. Where'd we call that sucker at? $7? There's going to be an infrastructure bill if this quack gets into office. I don't know if it's going to be shovel-ready projects or not, but that's the last bill that they said they were going to use as shovel-ready projects, and it failed. All it did is went to the unions. And I think the same thing will happen again. They'll put that money to waste. But we do need an infrastructure bill. And this is a bullish. To me, it'll be, again, at the chart pattern, the ascending triangle, low support, 1582. I mean, strong buy down here at 1468. We did break down below the 200. And we got to break this 50. So the pivot point is right here, the support level. The pivot point's right here at 1716, and that's where we closed at more or less. We're at 1721 after hours. So I think this is getting ready to pop back up. If it strong buy down here at 1583, my tummy's starting to growl. That's not a good sign. Strong buy on the top of the horizontal line of the ascending triangle at 1582. That next support, 1661. We want this resistance to break at 1754 and take it up to 1822, 1886, and 1947. I like it. I like it a lot. I think a strong buy at 1582 is going to be the place to get in the trade. We are descending with lower highs. That's something to look at. So if we break resistance at 1754, that's a very important number. If not, we'll pull back to this lower support, and then I'd get in the trade and run it up. That's how I'd look at that. That's X. I'm the guy with the DM. We talked about that. Okay, for some context of nano dimensions, yep. Shares are added weekly. Space, and I think we're going to close this up here in a little bit. Yes, follow Vegas on StockTwits. I'll post the link to the website. We'd like for you to follow us on Twitter too. How do I set up my tabs on TOS? I just have charts down below my thing down here, and I just go from chart to chart. I have different tickers in here that I'm watching. I don't like to type in a lot of tickers, so I have a lot of charts up, and I can go ahead and look at the stocks I'm watching, and I can just kind of go around. I got 4 screens that I look at, and then I have 2 on the side of my right, and I have another one on my left. And then I have my TV in the upper left corner of me. So I kind of have like I call a bunker, where I just kind of move my swivel chair around, and I can look at all these different charts that I have stacked up. I use one for trade ideas. So that's always there. I basically use about 3 windows when I'm trading. And then I have the trade ideas. So let's go ahead and look at space, and then if there's any more in here, I'm going to go ahead and be done with it. get something in my belly and relax. I haven't been feeling too good here in the last 2 or 3 months. I got to work on myself. Space. Space had some bad news. They had a couple. It always needs money. They're always throwing out offerings. Space had some bad news last week when one of their rockets didn't get into orbit. That caused the stock to go down, as you can see. I'm not bullish on space. Probably won't be bullish on space until I see $20. But we're going to go ahead and clear this up. Now, this chart's too ugly for me to do anything. And we're going to look at the 1 year. I'm just not bullish on this company right now. I think, but we are bouncing. We could bounce off this 50-day right here, okay? Right about in here. In the long run, I think this will be a very good stock to have. And if you want to buy it at a reasonable price for a long swing, you want it to maybe touch this 50 or this 200-day on the yearly chart. That's the 200 SMA. That's probably where I would love to get in the trade, right at $19 for a long swing. I think we're due for another pullback. We have a big old fat wick on here. This is called almost a bearish flag for the daily. I think we can pull back to a lower support level, and I have that 23.25 here for some reason. Let me see why. Because of this previous high. And it's running up against that 50, so I got two confirmations. And then I think I got a lower support right down here, right around the $20 area, where we had these other highs. To me, that could be the pivot point on the yearly chart. That 2034. That's where I want it to hold. If it doesn't hold that 24 or that 2034, we'll hit this $19 area, and that's where you want to really get in the trade and take it up to about 24, 23.35, back to that 50. So maybe we're going to sandwich in between these two moving averages. But here's something to learn about the moving average that I use, the 200 and the 50. What we have right here is a golden cross. So if you see a crossover of the 50 crossing over the 200, that's called a golden cross. And she's held support pretty much, that 50, where she smooched up right in here, and then she bounced up off of it again. So that's still bullish if you'd got in the trade down here at that $19 level. But she does bounce off that 200. And I think we're poised to do that again with the offering and the crash. And you're going to have people that are stuck in the trade that will remain bullish. Those are the ones that are falling in love with the trade. I'm not in love with this stock at all. 1, has too many offerings. 2, Richard Branson, I can't stand him. 3, 1, 2, and 3. What's number 3? The crash. So those are the 3 reasons. Now, Richard Branson's a good guy, don't take me wrong, but I just think he's a little arrogant. We got a pivot point right in here. I don't think he's a business. I mean, he made a lot of money selling records and being a producer. And his Virgin, this thing's not working out too. I mean, it's a great idea. He'll be like another Elon. He will never be another Elon. But that's just my sentiment. 2034 for his low support. 2168 for the second. And the first one to hold is 2325. Resistance to break is going to be right here, right around the... Let's try to find something in here. Right there. I just can't turn this down right in here. And then I want to find another resistance up here at 2609. Then we got a hard resistance at 27. So we have a pivot point right here. to hold for your first support, 2168 and 2034 with a very strong buy off the 200. And resistance to break is going to be this area right in here at 26 bucks. Anything above that's a gift. That is space. I mean, it's had real bad news. Now it had an offering and it has this bearish candle. I think it's going to pull back more. That's the way I think about that. Okay, well, always clean, always Jim. Thanks for the charting. I'm learning a lot. I really appreciate that. I hope you enjoyed this video and hit that like button. We're going to go ahead and cut this off so I can get something in my belly. And I just want to kind of do one more little thing here. I'm going to go ahead and in the comments section, I'll put the link to the website. If you're not a member of the room, we'd really appreciate it if you followed us here on StockTwits. Miss Vegas is one of the best tape readers I know out there. She is a money flow queen. She posts alerts in here, and this was a great trade Friday. I mean, I was at the doctor's office. I would have took that knife, and it landed right on my support level. Also on the website, we have our StockTwits. You can follow us on our StockTwits. So go to the website, I Love Stocks, and you can link up to any of us on here. Vegas has hers right here. She's got 8,000 followers. She gets them every day. We're posting alerts in both of these. And I think that's going to be it. And if you wanted to watch some previous videos that I've done, you can take you to the YouTube channel and you can follow us on here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut on out of here for now. I wish everybody a great day. And I want to wish everybody a happy holiday and a Merry Christmas to all. And I'm going to leave with this song. I know I'm not the best singer in the world, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to play a song for you, if I can find it. Give me 1 second here. Then I'm going to cut it on out. Get me something to eat. There we go. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
I'll have a blue Christmas without you. I'll be so blue just thinking about you. Decorations of red on a green Christmas tree won't be the same, dear, if you're not here with me. And when those blue snowflakes,
let's have a good Santa Claus rally. Always remember patience.
And those blue memories start calling.
Good to know, Chris. I love singing.
You'll be doing alright.
My throat's a little throat sore, but
I'll have a blue, blue, blue Christmas.
tell your family members you love them. Give your wife a big old hug. Make her a cake. Cook her dinner. You know she's stressed out this time of the year.
With your Christmas,
buy her some roses.
But I'll have a blue, blue, blue Christmas.
Merry Christmas to all.
Thank you very much. I love stocks. Merry Christmas.
I'll catch you next